Joining me now from New York is Joseph Foudy. He is an associate professor of economics over at NYU. Good to have you on the show, Joseph. Sean was just talking about how all this was sort of carefully choreographed. I mean, China's always sort of denied that the detention and sort of the later charges of espionage that were slapped onto these two Michaels was part of hostage diplomacy. But the mere fact that they were released just hours after Meng Wanzhou has to tell you something different.
Yeah, and internally within China, they'll view this as a validation of their tough strategy. Externally, of course, lots of other countries are really going to think twice about some of their business relations.
Do you think that the Biden administration is sort of coming out there and sort of publicly wanting to sort of increase tensions with President Xi?
Yeah, I mean, we have lots of issues and areas of dispute with China. So, at least bringing this down to sort of a lower tenor of stress is obviously wise. Having said that, the sort of U.S. attempts to limit Huawei's expansion globally, continue unabated.
It's interesting that this release of people actually comes just days after an agreement, the AUKUS agreement, which actually seemed that it will likely cause or increase tensions between China and the United States.
Yeah, although on the other hand, it probably increased the incentives of China to show sort of a win, given that it's having stresses with Australia, that's saying to Canada that, you can work with us and that there's still a way forward. Having said that, the way they detain these two individuals plays really, really poorly in the international community. And China's probably underestimated that, as your last guest spoke to.
Joseph, tell me this. I mean, the Chinese company Huawei has sort of always denied the U.S. government's allegations and security concerns about its products. What happened to them now?
So they pled, guilty with a sort of an agreement not to prosecute. So from the U.S. perspective, this woman's going to go home to China. The case for her is closed. But this kind of completely validates the U.S. strategy to continue to put pressure to limit Huawei. Now, most of these fights are about networking gear, but you could walk across the United States for a year and never run into a Huawei phone, to give you a sense of just how difficult it is now for that firm to crack the U.S. market. And you should expect that sales of its 5G networks in a number of U.S. allies are just not going to go forward.
The fact that she has admitted to some things with regards to their operations in Iran, all right, it's difficult to find it in the United States, but how about countries like Canada or the UK has its own dealings as well?
Yeah, so what happens is the U.S. is putting pressure on those countries to sort of limit their relationship for upgrading their 5G networks with Huawei. And the U.S. has had some success. We've also sort of limited the microchips we're willing to sell to them, which in the long term is pushing Huawei to develop its own microchips. So while we've kind of brought the temperature down in this dispute, the broader fight between the United States and Huawei continues. And you're going to be seeing this fought out in, a dozen different countries that are sort of closely allied to the United States, but also want to manage a China relationship.
Okay. Joseph Foudy from New York University, thank you very much for joining us. I do appreciate the analysis.